Hi folks, it's Neil from Config Services. Just doing a three-part video series on how to add devices into LibreNMS. This one specifically focusing on the CLI. So I'm going to show you the options you have available when you add a device in here. So if you just do LNMS device ;add --help, it gives you all of the parameters that this script accepts. I'll run through some of these more important ones. You've obviously got the version of SNMP that the device is going to respond to. Typically V2 is what I see most people using nowadays. You've got the -C for community string, which is SNMP V1 or V2. Many other options available if you're using V3, which obviously includes support for things like username, passwords, authentication, etc. You can pass on the port, which by default is 161 UDP. I'm going to use a slightly different one in this video just because I'm using an emulator for SNMP. Got the display name that you can pass over as well. So whilst you might add a device in via a host name or an IP, you can actually change the display name that LibreNMS will show by default. Accepts a bunch of templates here, so you can default it to the host name. You can use the sysname return back as part of the polling work that happens on a device, IP, etc., etc. -F to force add the device. So you might need to do this if you're adding the device in from either a poller or the web server that doesn't have access to run things like ICMP and SNMP checks against the device. So -F will just force to add it in. You can allocate the poller group. So if you're running distributed polling, you can pass on the poller group for this device, which is quite helpful. Things like -P, ping only. So you might have devices that don't respond to SNMP, but you still want to do some form of monitoring within LibreNMS. So you can pass that over as a ping only device. We don't do any SNMP checks at that particular point. And as part of that, you can provide some additional information about what that device type is, just so it doesn't sit there being quite generic. So I'm going to add a device in now. So if I do LNMS device add, so it's running version 2 of SNMP. Community strings, just made up one on the simulator I'm using here, but we are using a different port, which is 1161. And then the actual host name of the device is also just randomly made up here. Now that's all I need to do at this particular stage. You can pass on a variety of different options, but this should now just go through, do a basic check of ICMP. Is the device up and running? It is in this case because it's locally supported, and then also an SNMP check. So we just grab sysobject ID from the device. If that returns a response, then we know that SNMP is configured and we add the device in. That's it for this one. I'll post the videos up about the web UI and API as well at later stages. Thanks very much for watching.